was invited by Liliana from Vanilla and Canella. I will have her channel linked in the description box below to do a collaboration video of Trash to Treasure. And it's basically where you take something that you were planning on throwing away or getting rid of and doing something new with it so that you can use it in your home in some way. So, without further ado, let's get started on this Trash to Treasure project. For this project, you're going to need some old CDs or DVDs. These are just some old ones that I had laying around that have videos on them that I'm no longer going to watch, and so instead of throwing them away, I'm going to use them for this project. So that's the first thing you're going to need. Then you're going to need some scrapbook paper for whatever design or season or your home decor that you want to match, some letter stickers, some twine or ribbon, some Mod Podge, a pair of scissors, a pencil, and some sort of an applicator to apply the Mod Podge. I'm just going to use one of these small sponge brushes. So let's get on with our project. The first thing you want to do is decide what word you want to say, and then obviously get papers, scrapbook papers to match that word. I'm going to be doing the word Christmas. If you want to do the word Christmas, you're obviously going to need 9 CDs and 9 different pieces of scrapbook paper. You just take one of your CDs and you trace it on the scrapbook paper, and you're going to put the paper on the front and the back of the CD, so you're going to want 2 out of the same scrapbook paper. Once you have all of your circles traced out, then the next obvious step is where you use your scissors and you just cut all the circles out. Once you get your circles cut out, then you're going to use your Mod Podge and your sponge brush, and you're going to want to put some Mod Podge onto the CD, all over it. And if you get a little bit of glue on your fingers, it's not a big deal. And then you adhere paper onto the CD. And if it sticks over a little bit, that's okay. It's not a problem. You can clean that up later. And then you want to put another layer of Mod Podge on the top of the paper to kind of give it a shiny look. Mod Podge dries fairly quickly. And that's one of the nice things about this craft product. So, you're also going to want, I failed to mention that you're going to want a piece of newspaper to cover up your workspace if you don't want it to get all sticky. So you go ahead and you just set that aside, and once it's dry, then you can flip it over and you put the other half on to the CD. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting out the circles and get half of the CDs glued, and then when I'm ready for the next step, I'll bring you back. Alright, so this one is dry enough to start working on the other side, and I just noticed as it dried that there's a little bit of glitter in it, and I'm like, where did that glitter come from? And then Olivia reminded me that I had used this Mod Podge for a project earlier in the year that had required a lot of glitter. So my Mod Podge has some glitter in it, but that's okay. Since this is for Christmas, it just makes it more festive. So this side is going to be just a little bit different. You're going to go ahead and put your Mod Podge on. I call them CDs, or it could be CDs or DVDs. You know what I mean. They're the same sized circular plastic object. These are actually DVDs, but you could use CDs for this as well. So then you want to put your other half on. And one thing I didn't mention before is that when you put this paper on here, you really want to rub it down well, get all of the air bubbles and everything out of it before you put the other layer of Mod Podge on it, because the nature of Mod Podge and paper, you can get bubbles in it. Okay, so once that's glued down well, this is the time that you're going to want to go around and just trim off any of the paper that is hanging over the edge, or you can leave it if that doesn't bother you. If you kind of like the more rustic appearance of it, you can just leave it. But for me, I want to go around and trim this off. It might even be easier to use a straight edge, like a box cutter or one of those kind of sharp knives. Okay, I think that's good enough. And then before you put the top layer of Mod Podge on here, this is when you want to adhere your letters for the words that you're going to make. So before you start putting the letters on, you need to get your fabric, not keep saying fabric, scrapbook paper patterns how you want them, in the order that you want them. So I'm going to go ahead and get that figured out, and when I get that figured out, I'll bring you back and I'll show you how to adhere the letter onto this. I decided I do want this fairly white looking one. It's kind of like a really pale green, and then it's got darker, the word jingle in darker green. I want that to be the C in my word Christmas. Now, as I was saying, you could also do this for other, like you can say harvest or Thanksgiving, or you can even do one that just says family and have it up all year long. In fact, I was thinking about, I might do that. I might do another one of these projects and just have the word family, and then obviously the scrapbook paper that you choose would be to match your decor, the colors in your home. So for the word Christmas, obviously I need a C, and I found the biggest letters that I could find at Walmart in the stickers scrapbook section. If you have one of those Cricut machines, that would be awesome too. Then that way you could cut out your letters that way. You can either just center them perfectly on the CD, or you can make them a little bit lower, because you're going to punch a hole in the top of each CD in order to add your hanger. So I think for me, do I want it a little lower or do I want it right in the middle? I think I'm going to just go slightly lower than center, just slightly. And they're going to be hanging, so if they're not all exactly perfect, you know, it's not that big of a crisis. Okay, so there I have the C, And at this point, that's when you want to do your second layer of Mod Podge on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That will help adhere the letter down and make sure that it doesn't come loose, and it just kind of makes the whole thing look more finished. And Olivia pointed out to me that this particular Mod Podge is actually a matte finish, so it will not be shiny per se when I'm done with it, but it will, like I said, it'll just make it have a more finished look. Alright, so there's that. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry completely, probably for a couple of hours before I try to punch the holes in the top. So when I have all of these completely done and they're completely dry and I'm ready to put the hole in, I'll bring you back and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so now we have all of the letters on the discs. We have it Mod Podged and it's nice and dry, and it took a while to do all of this and to make sure they were completely dry. Now, the best way to actually put a hole in these discs is to use a drill press or some sort of machinery like this. If you don't have a drill press or a way to mechanically punch a hole in there, then I would suggest that you hot glue a hanger to the back of the disc before you put this back piece of scrapbook paper on, so that it's sandwiched inside. That's what we were considering doing, and then of course my husband came home and he had this brilliant idea to use this drill press. He showed me how to use it, and hopefully I won't screw up. Oh, there we go. That's close enough, I think. So that was the first time I've ever used this piece of machinery, and it worked really well. It kind of boogers up the back side just a little bit, so when you're using it, you will definitely want to go through the top. So when you put it down in there, you really have to press hard on it to keep it from wiggling around. But there we've got a hole. Alright, Libby, did you want to try it? Okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and finish these up, and then we'll bring you back and show you what to do next. Oh, and I want to mention that we put a little tiny dot with a Sharpie marker on where we wanted to put the hole, so that all the holes would be pretty much in the same spot. Alright, the twine that I have that I'm going to be using as a hanger is fairly thin, so that's why we didn't drill holes real big. Now, if you're going to be using a ribbon or yarn or a fatter twine, then you're going to definitely want to make a bigger hole. And we've discovered that it would be easier to try to get this twine through the holes by using a little, like an embroidery, not embroidery, like an upholstery type size needle. So I cut a piece of twine about 10 inches long, and I threaded it on the needle, and it's just really simple. You just put it through the hole, and then I would leave it this long to start with, because when I show you how I'm going to hang them, I'm not sure how long of a hanger I'm going to need. So I'm just going to leave it this length for now, and then later on you can tie the knot lower and then trim off the extra. So I'm just going to loosely tie it at the top for now. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get these all done, and when I'm ready to show you how I'm going to display these, I'll bring you back and I'll show you what the final product looks like. So this is where I ended up putting the Christmas sign. As you saw, I strung the letters on a piece of dowel rod that I had, and then I wrapped some twinkle lights around it. I don't know if these are technically twinkle lights, but they're a short Christmas lights, and I put it up on the top of our hutch in the basement. The lighting's not great down here. It never is in the basement, so I apologize for that. But I hope you can kind of get the idea of what it looks like. I'm kicking around the idea of closer to Christmas time, putting some of my Christmas Village buildings up there. I haven't quite decided yet. I may just leave it like this. But I think it looks really pretty. And I just took some masking tape and taped the dowel rod to the top of the hutch. So you can't see the tape, and it's not going to damage any of the finish on this piece of furniture. And this is the family one that I made, and I hung it on that mirror that I got at the antique store. I really like the way this turned out. It looks very rustic and antique-y, like the style that I like. Frugal farmhouse, I guess. I don't know. I like the straw one, and I like the black and white one, which kind of reminds me of a cow pattern, although that is not what it is. So I hope you enjoyed this video of how I took trash and turned it into treasure. I wanted to thank Liliana from Vanilla and Canella. I hope I'm saying her name right. She says it with that UK accent, so I can't say it the way she does it. But I want to thank her for hosting this collaboration, and like I said, I will link her channel in the description box below, so you can check out the playlist of everyone who is doing the Trash to Treasure collaboration. We'll talk to you later, friends. Bye-bye.